Welcome back. As countries around the world are grappling with COVID-19, the role of young people becomes more and more important in their efforts to stop the spread and help mitigate differences. In Egypt, which has about 60% of the population being young people, we need to find ways to engage the young and empower them and help them to combat the pandemic itself. To shed more light on the youth and the challenges they face during the pandemic, we're joined over the phone by Sherin Ramadan, the founding member of the Assistant Secretary General Human Capital at AfroAct organization. Good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Do you believe that coronavirus pandemic has contributed to raising awareness towards the importance of information technology?
Right. Well, I don't think that coronavirus on its own contributed to raising awareness towards the importance of information technology. I believe everybody already knew how important information technology is. But coronavirus, I believe, taught us two very important lessons in this arena. The first is to be prepared with the infrastructure that allows you to utilize the latest technology available in case the need is there. Like, for example, some companies in the past used to have the ability or the infrastructure that allows them a strong network, strong security, etc., that allows them to make remote meetings or online meetings, conference calls, and so on. But other countries didn't have the ability for that. Also, it taught us that the information technology, that we are all aware how important it is, can be used in a lot of other in unorthodox ways, as we say. I mean, now we have cabinet meetings made online. We have official meetings made online, etc. So I believe it brought the awareness to different ways of using information technology.
But I mean, this is not just an Egyptian thing. I mean, the idea of online meetings and these applications or different websites that have basically boomed because of the pandemic, it's relatively new to the world. People are used to going to offices and, you know, attending conferences or whatever. Do you think that this will be the future post the coronavirus pandemic?
Right. Well, to anticipate whether it's going to be the default way of communicating, I really cannot tell. But all what I know is that this is it's a tool that has been available for us to use side by side. If you come to my personal opinion, and this is no official opinion whatsoever, my personal opinion is that we should not jump into using the online remote communication, whether it's in a business, whether it's in official meetings, whether it's in education even, as the default way of communication. Because it definitely has its pros, but it has a lot of obstacles. I mean, you cannot substitute the human interaction and the communication altogether with the online communication.
That is true, but I think that some companies, I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but some companies will consider having at least half the time remote working, and the other half and in the offices. It'll save a lot of money. It'll save, you know, time and traffic. It saves quite a bit of money. Do you think?
Right. Well, the companies will be using this as a side thing when the need presents itself. But you know, some positions you cannot afford for some positions to be working remotely, like the customer-facing employees. You know, some positions have to be present. Maybe during the COVID, during the pandemic, during the restrictions of the distancing, the social distancing, etc., there would be this issue that you have half the employees there and half at home. But after that, when the pandemic is over and you go back to the normal conditions, you might use this tool only for the positions that require or that can work remotely. And when the need presents itself, like for example, when you have meetings with people who are abroad, instead of having to pay for traveling, travel expenses, etc., cost time and money, you might use the online communication in this case.
What do you think of social media? I mean, obviously the power of social media is big everywhere in the world. How do you think that the Egyptian youth can use this during this time to raise awareness about, the pandemic itself, crush rumors, and so forth?
Right. Well, the social media has been taking a huge part in our life, and I believe it's penetrating every single area in our life. Like, you can get from social media now, it's not anymore social. You can get news from there, you can get access to educational sites and pages, you can get access to official pages like governmental pages. You can get access, of course, you can stay in communication with your social acquaintances.
Yes.
But it's becoming a very strong tool that we use, but it has to be used wisely and cautiously, because as you mentioned, when it comes to youth, the social media, as useful as it is and as beneficial as it is, the restrictions over what's presented on social media is not yet constructed. So you can never tell what sort of news you get, what sorts of communication you can get from there. So what I can advise the youth to do is to try as much as they can to kind of make sure of the information they get. Try to research more before jumping into conclusions, before sharing information and news that they're not sure about.
In your opinion, do you think that after this crisis, the way education is provided in this country will change? Will we continue, not necessarily online learning, obviously children need social interaction more than adults do, but do you think that the idea of using technology will be more integrated in schools?
Well, the idea of using technology is definitely going to be more, used more often. And it has already started a little bit before the pandemic. But what I have to say is that the idea of online learning has offered a lot of benefits. For example, online learning can offer you the chance to learn anything you want, even if the universities are not close by, even if the topic you want to study is not available in your country altogether. You can still go online, register in a university anywhere in the world and learn. It's also provided the idea of learning at the comfort of your home, or even having a job while learning at the same time. You can learn at your own pace. It's offered a lot of benefits. Yes. But in the same time, especially for young generation, it has a certain restrictions as well. As you mentioned, the young generation, especially children and young teenagers, they require the social interaction, the human interaction, the activities, the idea of going to school, having sports, moving around, connecting with people, etc. So you cannot say that online learning will substitute altogether the actual learning. But what I can say is the best, until we can figure out, because this is all a new thing to all of us.
Yes.
But until we can figure out a methodology of how to embed the technology in every area, like education, business, etc., I think the best way now is to use the best of technology, like the tablets and the online tests, and but without substituting the interaction, the human interaction altogether.
I actually heard a podcast recently released by Bill Gates, who was talking about the information technology and what the pandemic has created. Basically, he believes that yes, the way things are doing business may continue to be the way it is, where people work remotely, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will affect social life per se. It will just increase the amount of the social life. People will go out more often, but not go to work more often. Do you think this is a true statement?
Well, this could be considered, but as we mentioned, everything has like the good side and the bad side. So the COVID, or like that using information technology, using remote working, using online meetings, etc., has offered benefits. which is having more time for yourself, avoiding commuting,
Yes.
even cost effective, because going to work, consuming office space, consuming electricity, and all this is highly costly. So it has its benefits. But as I mentioned, some positions you can afford to have them
Yes.
work remotely, some positions not. And there's also the obstacle of having people accustomed to the idea of working remotely. This will take time. And
Yes.
as I said, we shouldn't jump into conclusions before we put the basics for using these tools wisely and cautiously, so we can be able to utilize them to the best.
Well, this is a very interesting topic. We can go on, but unfortunately we're running out of time. So, Sherin Ramadan, the founding member of the Assistant Secretary General of the Human Capital at Afro Act Organization, thank you so much for joining us over the phone.